Evan Williams, he's the co-founder of Twitter and Medium. I'm sure you know both of his companies, right? You know Twitter and you know Medium. He's the co-founder, Evan Williams. And during his first startup, his whole team quit on him, meaning his whole team quit on him during the time he was building his first startup, which was Blogger. Nonetheless, he did not give up and he continued pushing and he sold it later to Google. So this video is about the challenges I had to overcome to get my business to over 80,000 paying customers. Now, these are just many challenges. So basically, I have the challenges I had to go through. And what that'll help you do is it'll help you next time you face a challenge in your business or in your life, you'll say, hey, it's normal. Everyone goes through many challenges on path to something worthy. So for me, it started with one. The first challenge was I gave away 49% of my company to my co-founder without vesting. So that's challenge number one. And I gave away 49% of the company. He no longer wanted to work on it, but he had 49%, so I had to shut it down. Then my next challenge was, so the lesson for that is you have to vest your equity, which is over 4 years, you got to vest your equity with a 1 or 2 year cliff. The next challenge I had was I'm not technical. So I hired a dev shop to build my first project. And they used up 6 months to build me a product that still sucked. 6 months of my life was wasted to have that product that still sucked. The lesson that I got out of that was, remember, that's a challenge for me, right? The lesson I got out of that was 2 weeks. So it taught me very valuable that within 2 weeks, every product I build must be live. That means you have to condense it down to the bare bones what you need in the product and ship it to live in 2 weeks. And remember Kevin Systrom on this also. He's the co-founder of Instagram. And Kevin said it's not what they added to Instagram that made it special. It's everything they subtracted from it. They try to make it as simple as possible for you to use. And that's one of the reasons Instagram is successful. After I built this 6 months worthless product, I hired two part-time guys to help me, part-time guys to code for me because I didn't have money, right? And what I learned is it doesn't work. You can't have any part-time people on your team. You got to actually fire them right away. These guys delivered the worst work on the planet. They were aligned to clock in the hours for their part-time work while robbing me of my little money on my credit cards. So don't hire anyone part-time because they'll do bad work. You got to hire based on results. If you do, hey, ship exactly this and you got 2 weeks. So then I learned I can't hire part-time workers. So once I did that, then I moved to Silicon Valley. I drove to Silicon Valley from South Carolina. Drove because I wanted to be around people who were building cool stuff. So, and when I arrived there, I saw so many people literally building cool stuff. There was a lot of ambition, there was a lot of passion, there was a lot of fire. So my advice for you, the lesson out of this is try to be in some hub where there's a lot of people doing what you love doing. Now there's many hubs now, right? Like this was when I did this was like in 2012. For me, this was like 7 years ago. So try to be in a hub where there's a lot of people doing what you love doing. If you love design, go to where a lot of designers are. If you love startups, there's many startup hubs now. Like there's a lot of startup hubs now. So go to the closest one. Once I got there, I was told that I need a CTO because I didn't have a CTO. So I went ahead and pushed and I found a CTO and I got a CTO to join my company for basically no money, right? Well, this was really cool because the CTO joined my company had no money. The lesson I learned there is it did not work out with this CTO because he was a very, very smart guy, but he was the wrong fit for this company, right? You got to make sure the fit of the people you're looking to join your company matches, right? You both want to work 80 hours a week. You'll both do whatever it takes for the company. You're obsessed with building products. You love this. This is your everything. So look to hire people who are really aligned with you, not necessarily in like 6 months or some kind of a short, but aligned with you. They're like you. So that taught me fit is really, really important. Um, I also did one more crazy thing. I went door to door pitching VCs. Now, no one in the world does this. I went door to door pitching VCs. It doesn't work. You got to get an introduction from another founder to a VC. Just doesn't work. The lesson is if you want to get in touch with VCs, get an introduction from a founder who they invested in. Then once I did this, my startup basically failed. And I learned that your business has to make money. I learned that the more complex you make your business, the higher your chance of failure goes up. So example, if you have a one-sided business, like if you have a SaaS product, you just need to get businesses to pay you. Pretty straightforward and easy. Now, if you have a two-sided business, like a marketplace, like an Uber, like you have the driver and the rider, that's a lot harder. And the third, some people are building like 3-level businesses. They're just going to pretty much fail. So if you see you're dealing with 3 levels of businesses, your chance of failure is just so high, right? So I learned that about business. Then uh, I'm kind of following my challenges and my lessons that I had to overcome. Then I ran out of all money. I ran out of now. Note, I didn't have a lot of money. It's just we just raised $25,000. Now it's like, we'll sell $10,000 in a day, but at that time $25,000 was a lot for me, and I ran out of my $25,000, and I didn't have any money at all. Meaning, like, my CTO, we parted ways. My project sucked. I shut it down. It didn't make any money, and I I don't have anything. And my family was saying, hey, just go work, learn. And what I learned from that experience, that you have to believe in yourself really deeply. And I said, you know what? I can build a company that's really successful. I don't have to go work to learn this from like this guy. I can do it. So I stuck to it. I didn't go and get a job. I stuck to it. And that taught me that you have to believe in yourself. If you believe in yourself, you can actually do magic. Like, that literally can take you to the magical heights. Then had a new idea for a project. And again, I learned that you got to build it really fast in 2 weeks. Remember, because I built it for 6 months previously and failed. Then I spent this whole another 6 months trying to make real money and never did. So it taught me you have to get money quickly. You got to get money like fast. So we pursued and we sold $20,000 in like our first month of business. And I built it and I built it actually in the background. So basically we were selling while we were building the product. Now, a very valuable lesson came from this for me. One, you can build your MVP in a matter of 2 weeks. Two, you can get sales for your business really, really quickly, like in the first 2 weeks. But here's where the challenge I ran into. I couldn't get repeat business. My product wasn't strong enough to get repeat business from those valuable clients I brought. So then I said, okay, because challenge, right? You got it. Another pain point here to overcome is couldn't get repeat business. You have to get repeat business. So then I started rebuilding the product. How to get repeat business from those clients. Hey guys, and I want to mention that the sponsor of this video is bubble.is. Now, if you have a project that you've always wanted to build, like a marketplace or a social network or a SaaS tool, if you want to build these kind of complicated web applications, how do you do it? How would you make it? Right? Like, you'd have to hire a lot of engineers, and that's very expensive. It's very like time to find them, to hire them, for them to build. It takes a lot of time. You can use Bubble and do it yourself. Bubble is a code-free programming language that you can learn in 4 to 5 hours. 5 hours you can learn code-free, meaning it's kind of almost drag and drop type of strategy. Drag and drop, dude. In 5 hours you can learn how to use it, and you can build your own SaaS product, your marketplace you've always wanted to build, the social network that you felt that was needed, and you can do this via Bubble. So cool. And what's meaningful is also to note, Emmanuel told me, the founder of Bubble, he said, there's a business who uses Bubble who raised $300 million. They're built on Bubble and still run on Bubble. So you can use this tool, whether you're just to hack your MVP, or if you want to, if you have a kind of a successful company, like a big late stage company you want to build. So Bubble works for either way. So if you need to ship something and if you want to get it out in the world now, you can use Bubble. I'll put the link for you in the description. It's bubble.is. Next, we did an accelerator. What's interesting about that accelerator, they gave us $100,000, but I spent like $80,000 of that money within a matter of days, amping up our sales for demo day, which is when you present to everyone in your company and say, hey, our run rate is this much. That was a mistake. It taught me to focus instead on consistently making more money in your business. Forget, one-time spike, and really watch your CAC and LTV. I've seen a lot of my friends fail in their companies because their cost of acquisition of the client is actually much higher than the lifetime value. Meaning, if you make $1 from a client, but it costs you $10 to bring them, you're going to fail. So then, after we did this accelerator and we used up most of the money, my business is making money. The business was making money, but it was little money at the time. So then, my entire dev team quit, except one guy, my loyal warrior who stuck around. The entire dev team quit. That actually happened, and that was a very painful moment for me. Entire dev team quit. Sucked. For sure sucked, but we didn't slow down one bit. I sat down, I started pushing recruiting, and I got a lot more guys to join us. So I rebuilt that whole dev team. Next, here's actually our challenges we faced. Next, many engineers we hired could not build the product we needed. It was not a complex product, but what it taught me was that you should start by trying to hire somebody very experienced. right? Like if you hire young guys, that's great. But for us, those young guys just did not work to build the products we needed. You have to hire, let's say, a guy with like 8 years or 9 years experience in back end who can actually he can ship it. It's worth it. And I learned this the hard way because initially I didn't have the money. So I tried to hire like three young guys to do the job because I didn't have the money and I thought one guy's not enough. All wrong. You have to start by just hiring, let's say, one guy who has 7, 8 years experience and let's say back end and pay him as much money as you can because that's how you can build a team around. Versus I went young guys and I always had a lot of trouble. Then I faced challenges. I had a lot of people telling me that, hey, I can build it. I took their word for it. Like, hey, can you build this exact product? They'll confirm. They'll say, I can do it. And they can never do it. So then I had to make a test. Meaning like I had to give them a coding test to build exactly that product before they joined. I didn't know this stuff. I didn't know that I had to give them a coding test of exactly what we needed. I thought if you showed a person a product and said, this is exactly what we need, can you do it? They can do it, but they couldn't do it. I also learned that people are wired very differently. So for me, let's say me, myself, if you hire me for any job, I'll do whatever it takes to make sure that job's successful. I'll do everything. I will work 7 days a week. I'll work 16 hours a day. I'll work more until to make sure it's successful. But what puzzled me about some people was they'll be failing at their job, but they'll still rest on Saturdays and Sundays. It's the insanity that I'm just not familiar with. If you're failing at your job, why would you not work every day of the week to make sure you're successful? Be like, hey, you know what? I'm doing it. I'm doing it. But I learned that people are wired very differently. Like, not everyone's this way. Many people who will just fail at their job and not work very hard. And that's a painful thing, man. That sucked. So then I learned to give the coding test. Then I learned that you have to hire a more senior person, one senior person that can kind of bring together the team of the younger people. Uh, and these few moves is what brought success, believe it or not. And there's one more thing I learned the hard way, which was I had to become obsessed with whatever I'm working on and only work on one mission at a time. So whatever mission I took on, usually I focused on one mission. Of course, if a crisis happened, I'll always fix it because they happened a lot. One mission at a time. And here's actually a meaningful thing. When many smart folks join, if they're not obsessed with that one mission, they actually never do magic. The only people I've seen who do magic in business, they become obsessed with whatever they're working on because they live and breathe this one thing. They think about it in the shower, they think about it in the morning, and cool ideas come to them, and that's why they do things that can change the world. So I would suggest look for people who become obsessed with something. Like, you know what? Like I was obsessed with one thing and it owned me, it possessed me. Because if they were obsessed this way once, hopefully they can become obsessed this way again. So look for obsessed people because they are the ones who do all the 10x moves, right? Because if you're not obsessed, the guy who is, I think, will always destroy this other guy. Then a year or two later, again, my dev team, my 80% of my dev team quit on me, except for like one guy. 80%. And here's what I learned basically, that a painful lesson, that you have to back up your team. Like for every person, you have to have almost 2 to 3 people doing that job, just because people change jobs. I thought that when you build a company, this is earlier days. I thought when you build a company, everyone's obsessed with this thing, but people have so much going on in their lives that we can even miss what they're thinking. So we had to overcome that challenge. We sat down, we pushed for 2 weeks, and we hired 5 more incredible engineers. And those guys are still here, and I'm very proud for that. Like, I'm very grateful for Narayan, for Pavan, for Chaitanya. I'm very grateful for you guys. You guys are warriors. You're actual warriors. So the point is, I had to get through that challenge, and it's always surprising. Not only you have to back up your team members a lot. And at this stage, our company's making money. We're successful. We grew a lot. So those are kind of some of the challenges and the stories. And I know there are many other stories within this story, but that's kind of an overview of my journey to success, to get to 80,000 paying customers, to get to over $3 million a year in sales. And I had to work very, very hard at it. And another thing I kind of learned was that the epic people, the warriors, there's basically 2 types of people, I think, in a company. There are the people who make the company. You got certain employees that just They're irreplaceable. Their level of ownership is incredible. Like, they're irreplaceable. And then there are people who they might do good work, but they never become obsessed, so they never do great work, right? The goal is to find as many people as possible of these loyal, the fighters, the obsessed people who are driven, and share with them money, share with them equity, share with them everything you can, because they're just so hard and rare to find. Like, I would do anything for amazing people, anything. And for anyone who's watching this video as an employee, my advice to you, if you're working at whatever company, just do way more than whatever your target is. Whatever your target is, do way more, man. Like, if your target is to sell $10,000 a month, sell 30. Because you know what will happen is magic will happen. You're gonna get your boss is gonna start giving you equity. Your boss is gonna start giving you a lot more bonuses, a lot more power, a lot more responsibility, free stuff. Magic will happen. The worst thing you can do as an employee is the bare minimum. You never shine. You never do magic. So those kind of are the challenges, many of the challenges and things I had to go through in business. And that's my journey. And I'd like to say that this channel is all about entrepreneurship and startups. If you enjoy watching videos about entrepreneurship and startups, then subscribe to this channel. 8 years in business, 8 years as an entrepreneur, 80,000 paying customers. So if you enjoy these videos, subscribe. Give it a thumbs up if it was good. I know I've kind of shared my story and many of the pains and lessons I went through. Give it a thumbs up so the way I know if it was good or not. That way it gives me an idea. And thank you so much for watching.